Here to discuss last night's historic address, Republican Congressman from the great state of Florida, Mike Haridopolos. Congressman, welcome.
Great to be here.
So what were some of your key takeaways from a very patriotic night last night out on the National Mall?
Well, you can't help but be a proud American and especially appreciate the sacrifices made by those who came before us, as this is truly the land of opportunity like never before. And it really just shows that where we have been and where we're going to go in the future. I'm so glad to see the president take a high-minded address here, positive, inclusive, talking about we're all Americans for that opportunity that we were blessed with. And as a first-generation American, I get goosebumps thinking about what opportunities we get here. And it's why we should be so grateful for those who sacrificed. And I still think our best days are ahead.
The president calling this country the crowning achievement of human history. You are an old history professor. What about that? And how do leaders today keep it going?
Well, the great American experiment is the idea that we are born free. You're not given your rights by some sovereign or king. Mm-hmm. We're born free. It's up to the people who get the opportunity to lead, whether it be us in Congress or the president, to affirm those rights you're born with. That's what God gave us. And that is so important. That's the transition we made as a new nation. And we're living up to that credo today. When you think about the famous words from Martin Luther King, when he said, you don't want to be judged by the color of your skin, but the content of your character. That's what makes America so appealing. And that's why so many people want to live here in the United States, because it is that nation where anything is possible.
You represent Florida's Space Coast. So what about space as we look ahead to the next 250 years? Obviously a critical place for America to lead, right?
It sure is. And what an exciting spring we had. Artemis 2 taking off, going around the moon for the first time since 1972. And then the innovation of a person who emigrated to the United States of America, Elon Musk. And you know what he has done? He has brought down the cost of sending things into space by over 95%. That's why he's one of the richest persons in the world today, because he provided a service at a better price, and they're making incredible innovative changes right now. The space industry is the future, and I think in my lifetime, we're going to see an astronaut on Mars.
Wow. All right. So the president also taking note of Democratic socialists winning on the Democratic side, the Democratic Party. What do you make of what's happening in the Democratic Party right now?
Well, they have lost their way. I mean, you talk about radical. They don't even want to have borders. These are people who would allow, of course, unlimited immigration, even allowing criminals to come here and stay here, undercutting the rights of others. And let's just remember, history is kind of important. As you know, I'm a former history teacher. And the idea, America is this idea of the rule of law and opportunity. And it seems like the Democrats are kind of flipping it on its head at this point. And I just find that unacceptable. We're simply saying that in America, if you play by the rules, anything's possible. Remember, it was 18 years ago when the first African-American president was elected, President of the United States, Barack Obama. In my state of Florida this year, Byron Donalds will be the next likely president of the United States. And you know, in his district, it's less than 6% African-American. You see that in our state of Florida. 5 members of our delegation are of Hispanic background, Republican and Democrat. This is a land of opportunity. And so when you talk about space and you talk about where we're going as a country, we are that land of opportunity as long as you play by the rules. The Democrats think the only way that success happens is you have more and more government. They want to encapsulate more power in Washington, where only a few people make decisions. And that's a communistic ideal, that they understand what's best for the public. I, and the Republican Party, feel otherwise. We think you should have the power to decide what your future should be. You should have the power to decide how you want to spend your money, not having the government dictate what's the options on the table.
Does it provide a sharper contrast heading into November when it's Republicans versus a far-left Democrat?
Look, the Republican Party is far from perfect. But remember, what elections are about choices in life, not about perfection. And so as the Democrats move further and further left, I mean, you see some of these positions they're taking. Of course, the new leader of the Democratic Party is clearly a socialist in the mayor of New York City, who is not exactly the most grateful fellow for getting this opportunity. And so we're showing the contrast. You remember the cool thing, and I love about being a new member of Congress, is that we made a set of promises, and we actually kept those promises. We said we'd secure the border. We did that. We said we'd stop the largest tax increase in American history. We did just that. And we also said we're going to cut taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. That really helps people who are so hard hit by higher inflation. And remember, the Democrats had this opportunity to help the middle class in 21 and 22. They didn't do a darn thing about it. What we did experience in those years are the highest inflation we've seen since Jimmy Carter, and of course the embarrassment in places like Afghanistan. So we think we offer a clear vision. We're going to actually make a set of promises. We're going to keep this set of promises. And one thing I'd love to see happen before we go to vote in November, let's pass the Save America Act. Let's get the Senate on board with this. The most common sense thing is only Americans vote in American elections. You and I are Greek. If we went back to Greece today and said, hey, we're here to vote, they'd laugh in our face. Right. Why not have that basic thing? And of course, voter ID is another no-brainer.
I think the president is very happy to hear you say that.
Well, he's right on target, and so is the American public. Republicans and Democrats alike believe voter ID and only Americans vote in American elections. Hopefully, the Senate will get on board.
I know it was a late night last night. Congressman Mike Haridopolos, thank you for doing this today. Great to see you.
Happy birthday, America. Thank you. Amen.